The sun burned mercilessly over the desolate plains, turning the air into a golden haze. The wind carried dust and silence in equal measure, a silence that had weight, that told stories of men who never came back. Sheriff Daniel Creed rode through that silence, his horse's hooves kicking up trails of dust as he made his way toward the canyon. He wasn't chasing outlaws today. He was following a rumor, whispers of a raid on a small wagon train heading west. What he found wasn't a massacre. Not exactly. Amid the wreckage of burned wagons and scattered belongings, something moved. A faint sound and a broken sob muffled beneath the wind. He dismounted, boots crunching on dry earth, hand resting on his revolver out of habit. Then he saw her, a woman barely standing, her body caked in mud and blood, her clothes torn beyond recognition. Her eyes were wide with fear, her lips cracked, her skin sunburnt and trembling. She wasn't an outlaw nor a bandit, she was just lost. "Easy now," Creed murmured, kneeling beside her. The woman flinched as if expecting another blow. "Ain't here to hurt you." She didn't answer, just stared at him, eyes glazed with exhaustion. Creed removed his hat, offering her his water flask. "Here, drink." She hesitated, then took it, her hands shaking as she drank every drop. The sheriff saw the bruises, the whip marks, the signs of struggle. Whoever had done this had meant to break her, body and soul. He wrapped his coat around her shoulders and guided her toward his horse. "You're safe now," he said softly, though he wasn't sure it was true. Out here, safety was a luxury. As the sun dipped low and painted the sky with red fire, Creed knew he had found more than a survivor. He had found a ghost of this cruel frontier and maybe a piece of his own lost humanity. Night fell over the small frontier town of Dusthaven. Inside the sheriff's office, the woman sat wrapped in a blanket by the stove. She still hadn't spoken her name. The townsfolk whispered outside, curious and wary. Creed ignored them. He'd seen enough pain to know that healing didn't start with questions. It started with quiet. He cleaned her wounds gently, each touch making her flinch. "Who did this to you?" he finally asked, voice low. She hesitated, staring into the fire. "Men, from the Black Ridge gang," she whispered, the words trembling out like broken glass. "They took everything. My husband, my little boy." Her voice cracked and she couldn't finish. Creed froze. The Black Ridge gang, and he'd been after them for years. Every time they slipped away like smoke. "I'll find them," he said simply. She looked up, eyes hollow yet fierce. "Don't," she whispered. "You'll die," he smiled faintly. "Maybe, but that's my job." Outside, thunder rolled across the plains and a storm brewing over Dusthaven. Creed loaded his rifle, strapped his hat, and glanced at her one last time. "You rest now," he said. "When the storm clears, you'll be safe." She didn't believe him, but somehow his words brought her a fragile kind of peace. 3 days later, the dust storm passed. The woman, Clara, as she'd finally told him, stepped outside, the morning sun warming her scarred skin. The air smelled of rain and gunpowder. Down the hill, a lone horse approached. Rider slumped forward, hat hanging low. Her breath caught. It was Creed. He dismounted weakly, his coat torn, his side bleeding. "They won't hurt anyone again," he said through gritted teeth. She ran to him, helping him inside. "You fool," she whispered, tears in her eyes. He chuckled softly. "Been called worse." As the fire crackled that night, she sat beside him, tending his wounds just as he had tended hers. Neither spoke much, words weren't needed. Outside, Dusthaven slept peacefully for the first time in months. In that silence, in that fragile light, Clara finally understood what mercy looked like. It wasn't loud or heroic. It was quiet, dusty hands reaching out in kindness when the world had turned cruel. And for Daniel Creed, the woman he'd found in the dust had given him something he thought he'd lost long ago. A reason to believe that even in the Wild West, mercy still had a place.